call to worship this morning is by the Reverend Kimberly Tomczyk Carlson, called A Place of Belonging and Caring. It is not by chance that you arrived here today. You have been looking for something larger than yourself. Inside of you, there is a yearning, a calling, a hope for more, a desire for a place of belonging and caring. Through your struggles, someone nurtured you into being, instilling a belief in a shared purpose, a common yet precious resource that belongs to all of us when we share. And so, you began seeking a beloved community, a people that does not put fences around love, a community that holds its arms open to the possibilities of love, a heart home to nourish your soul and share your gifts. Welcome home. Welcome to worship.
Good morning. Please join us in our chalice lighting words. We kindle this flame to remind ourselves of the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment.
Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Society of Burlington. Today is Sunday, October 29th, 2023. Welcome to you here in the sanctuary, and welcome to those who are live streaming, whether you are watching now or sometime into the future. I am Reverend Karen G. Johnston, the senior minister of the congregation, and today I get to be your worship associate. My pronouns are she and hers. Striving to be a radically welcoming congregation, we are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, genders, and cultural identities. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. We welcome all who are welcoming. We acknowledge that the land on which our society's 4 buildings sit and the lake just west of this land are the ancestral home of the Western Abenaki who continue to live here. We say these words recognizing that on their own they are an inadequate response to the legacy of settler colonialism. If this is your first or second time here, a very special welcome. We hope that you experience connection and compassion and perhaps even a sense of coming home. We invite you, if you're brave enough, to wave or stand briefly, letting us see you and letting those near you welcome you in person. Oh, I see some hands. Nice job. Thank you. Our welcome ambassadors are Carolyn and Richard Smiles. They're there in the back, and they would love to connect with any of you, and certainly those of you who are newer, to answer any questions you have after the service at our coffee hour, which is downstairs in our community room. And for those of you who are joining us via live stream, you can connect with us via our website. There's a place where you can click on various links that will get you to fill out a form so we can reach out to you there. And there's another tech note that I have. It's a personal one. You might know that like in just a few days, I will celebrate my 3 months with you. Very exciting. And I know realm is not everybody's favorite thing, but there are not very many photos of you there. And I know you all, if you've been around long enough, used to love the photo directories because then you could see what people look like. Would you mind uploading your photo so I can know who you are when I see a name and a picture? I can put them together. Thank you. That's my personal side note request. As we move further into respiratory illness and virus-based sickness season, please know that we welcome masking at our Sunday services and at all of our activities, recognizing that masking is an act of care not just for yourself, but for those around us. If you want to look at the order of service and you have a smartphone, you can open the gray hymnal and there's a QR code, and the magic that Mary makes happen means that you will find the order of service on your phone. I don't know how that tech works, but I'm really glad it does, at least sometimes. And with delight, I want to thank the many people, the team of people that it takes every Sunday to put these Sunday services together. You often see their names at the end rolling through as the postlude is going on. I also have delight and joy that we got to hear some music that James composed himself this morning as our prelude, and you already clapped, so you don't need to do that again. It embarrassed him. There is this controversy about whether clapping in worship it makes sense or not. But it's also a delight today to have co-created, really let the joy and commitment of the Sunday morning breakfast team come through in this worship service as we celebrate 1 full year of Sunday morning breakfast happening. That started last October. If after today's sermon you are inspired by thoughts of our shared humanity, please join the drop-in circle taking place in the parlors at 11:30. And hear another invitation. On Wednesday night at 7 p.m., we are holding a service of loss and remembrance. It's an annual service where those of us who have had losses have a chance to have a forum, a shape, a place to explore that. But frankly, we are all in the midst of grief. Collective grief over years, what is going on in the world. Please know that you are welcome to be here, and the whole community is welcome Wednesday at 7 p.m. A brief moment, I invite you to just say hello to someone next to you. We'll let the cacophony rise, and then the chime will call you back. Say hello. Friends, whatever it took for you to get here, wherever you've come from, wherever you are, whatever burdens or joys you're carrying, your whole self is welcome here. Come, let us worship together.
Invite you to stand with me in body or spirit. I promise I'll try to get through this song without crying. It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I've always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood you, so let's make the most of this beautiful day. since we're together, we might as well sing. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Would you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I've always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you. So let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you please? Won't you please? Please won't you be my neighbor? Thank you for singing, neighbor. Have a seat.
Recipe for a Sunday morning breakfast.
Preparation time, 1 hour.
Baking time, 1 hour and 15 minutes.
Serves 40 to 80 neighbors.
Preheat the coffee maker and the peanut butter and jelly assembly line.
Ingredients: enthusiastic volunteers, no experience necessary, no resume required. Helpful staff, thank you staff. Hungry neighbors, donated food from Panera, Black Cap Coffee, and the congregation, all of you, thank you. Coffee, bread, peanut butter, jam, bagels, cream cheese, eggs, pastries, hummus, ham, chicken, turkey, bananas, apples, oranges, juice, half and half. Socks, gloves, hats, shirts, jackets, scarves, coats, pants, shoes, socks, from all of you. Tables, chairs, cups, condiments, good cheer, warmth, flexibility, and smiles.
Set alarm for 5 a.m.
Step 2, in a medium-sized parlor, combine enthusiastic volunteers, bread, peanut butter, and jam. Bernie starts the coffee. Gather all the things. Ask Phil where more things are. Assemble peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Step 3, on an ungreased cart, place the coffee, sandwiches, juice, fruit, eggs, pastries, and all of the things.
Step 4, roll the carts out, share the food, greet the neighbors. And make someone's
Morning a little bit better.
That sounds really delicious. What a great recipe that is. I wonder if the kids could come forward up here, because I think I have a job for you in just a minute, because that sounds like such an amazing recipe to me, because you know what it reminds me of?
What?
It reminds me of the recipe for generosity cake.
Generosity cake. What is that? Is it delicious?
Well, it's a kind of delicious, but it's not the kind of delicious in your taste buds kind of way.
What other kind of delicious is there if it's not the taste buds on your tongue kind?
Well, I think I am actually going to need some help in explaining the different kind of delicious that generosity cake is. I wonder if we can have 8 volunteers. You'll need to stand up, and Erica is handing out things to our volunteers. Maybe your volunteers could stand right here once you have your, or maybe right even here. Here's even better, yeah. I said there would be holy chaos this morning, and I can tell it's going to happen right now. So, what kind of delicious, you ask? Well, it's delicious in a delightful, in a delightful way, yes. You can show all of these things in a delightful, daring, grow justice, grow compassion. Doesn't that make you feel good? Because no one goes hungry or cold, delicious way.
Tell me more.
Well, yeah, it's a recipe that leaves you feeling like you've just had some cake. Not really. And that cake is, here we go again, delightful, daring, grow justice, grow compassion. Doesn't that make you feel good? Because no one goes hungry or cold, delicious. Whew. Wow, thank you everybody, man, that was great.
Can we make some generosity cake today? Can we do it now?
Well, I think we could, but we would need some helpers. I wonder where we could find some helpers.
Right there. There's some helpers.
Oh dear, yes. So I'm so glad I thought of you as our helpers today. So every generosity cake is a little bit different from community to community, and different from season to season. I think the generosity cake that we are building today, we need cold weather ingredients. Things like gloves and hats and socks. I mean, we have the helpers here who would go out and get such ingredients if we had those kind of ingredients anywhere nearby. I wonder where we will find any ingredients like hats or gloves or socks.
There.
Some socks are coming off some feet. Excellent. Thank you for your generosity. That will make it taste especially good. Thank you. Excellent. Well done. The generosity.
Oh my God.
Did I say holy chaos? So, helpers, I think I saw people holding bags and other forms of cold weather ingredients. Can we hand out some baskets behind you? And go out, please, if you have ingredients to share, will you please raise them high so that our helpers can go out and find them and bring them forward? Give them to a more generosity coming from the one who took the shoes off his feet, some joy and comfies, right? Because don't we all need softies who will keep us company? Thank you. Excellent. Will you hold it up for it's a little heavy, right? Great. So this, my friends, is how we make generosity cake, the kind that is delightful and daring and growing justice and growing compassion that doesn't it make you feel good, because no one, we hope, goes hungry or cold in this delicious way. Thank you, Strong One, for holding that up for us. And it is time to sing these very generous cake bakers and their volunteers down to Faith Development. Thank you so much, James. Yes.
So as you come through, friends, you can leave your things.
Will you repeat after me? As you journey, may you know, love and hope go with you. Learn and grow And as you journey, may you know love and hope go with you. Learn and grow. Learn and grow.
Good morning. I have been asked to share what the Sunday morning breakfast group experience has meant to me. I've been part of that group since a year ago, since we first started. I have to admit, for many years, my relationship with the unhoused was informed mainly by my interactions with folks on Church Street. Occasionally, I'd drop $1 in a can or basket, but not very often. Sometimes I looked for someone I'd term a regular, an older woman, always headscarfed, usually huddled in a doorway or right on the sidewalk near Nectar's. She just looked so needy to me, I was drawn to help, if that's what it was. Most of the time, though, I figured they earned their place in life, and I wasn't going to change it with my paltry donation. Over time, I did notice that there were differences with this group of people. They weren't at all alike. They weren't all just the unhoused. Some were quiet and subdued. Some were raucous and foul-mouthed. Some were just plain goofy, riding their bikes and making all kinds of comments to passers-by, and some were actually confrontative when they held out their cans or asked for money. In my mind, this meant people adjusted to their situation in different ways. To some, it seemed a plight. To others, it seemed a lifestyle. I was serving on the Racial Justice Task Force when conversations lifted at UU about what it meant to be a radically inclusive, loving community in this day and age, like right now. As I looked around our UU grounds on any given day, there were various groups of people hanging out on the property, both during the day and most certainly at night. The very obvious answer rose in my consciousness: where else to begin practicing what it means to be radically inclusive and loving than in our own backyard? And I began to wonder this out loud. Now, someone else will have to trace the movement from merely wondering to creating the Sunday morning breakfast group and actually getting some food on the table. But a group of us decided it should be done and started to plan how we'd do this. In these moments, the reality of the Sunday morning breakfast group was born a little over a year ago. We could serve sandwiches, hard-boiled eggs, bananas, apples, coffee, of course, and juice. Panera's kindly offered to give us bread, which we picked up late Saturday or very early Sunday morning. At the tender hour of 7 a.m. each Sunday, we'd gather in the parlor, set up some tables, and begin an assembly line construction of the sandwiches. For sure, we were channeling Henry Ford. One person to cut the bread at the head of the table, 2 people to spread peanut butter, 2 people to spread jam, 2 to put a sandwich together and pass it on to the wrappers, who'd strip off cellophane wrap the sandwich up, and place it in the pile for the distribution box. We've gotten pretty good at this, actually. At times, our behavior is quite comical. We laugh at ourselves. Well, actually, most times. We started with maybe 6 to 10 neighbors that first week. Now we often have 40 to 50 people stopping by over the course of an hour. 40 to 50 hungry people. Some just eat for themselves, some take food with them for family and or friends, and some for children at home. Leftovers, if there are any, go over to the pods where they are now expected and rapidly consumed. And the people who come are all those types mentioned before, the quiet and the subdued ones, the noisy and the fractious, the goofy, and the bike riders, still freely offering their commentaries about the world, but to us now. For sure, our limits have been pushed. What do you do when someone wants to fill a grocery bag with food? What do you do when someone asks to use the bathroom? What do we do when we see people shivering and we are only steps away from a warm meeting house and they know it? What do we say when someone asks if they could charge their phone? What do we do when we see people with no gloves, no socks, sometimes no shoes, or someone who's lost a hat? And how do we make those decisions, especially decisions we know will impact the UU staff for which we've given no prior warning? Our situation every Sunday, as they say, is fluid. Things come up all the time. We've had to create roles and rules and checklists for who will do what as we've gone along, so there has actually grown to be a process in place for each evolving Sunday morning event. For me, I'm now able to put a face and person in those categories, the quiet and subdued, the wonky, the noisy and fractious, the goofy, the seriously impaired, and the bike riders still offering their commentaries. I've heard some stories that just make me shake my head and offer grateful thanks for my own upbringing. The best thing for me, though, is working with this magnificent group of people to turn out 100+ peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in an hour's time, get the table set up out front for food, drink, coffee, and clothes, welcome those who are actually in line because they've come early to eat. Are we creating a radically inclusive, loving community in this 3-hour time span? Actually, only an hour with our guests. And here, by we, I mean the breakfast group and all the society members who have gotten interested and have stopped by with food, sandwiches made at home, turkey and cheese, hummus and cucumber, sandwiches elegant when compared to our humble peanut butter and jellies, and stayed around to talk with some of our neighbors. Are we creating this radically inclusive, loving community we talk about? I think we may be. At least it feels that way. In the process, I've become smarter and more compassionate. I didn't ask for anybody's opinion on that, I'm stating it. Smart-wise, I've been reading 55 Breakfasts, a PDF book by Justin Daring that offers short portraits of the homeless people he's worked with for over 40 years, telling the who, what, where, and why in the first person of their homeless story. It's a stunningly visual book, really, one that creates a much deeper understanding of why our neighbors live the way they do. Compassion-wise, I'm now more able to argue from the other side of those people who say the homeless, if they only worked harder, they wouldn't be where they are and we wouldn't need to feel responsible. It isn't about feeling responsible. It's about being a morally guided, loving, and caring community. All of us, in whatever role we play, sandwiches, eggs, greeters, ground sweepers, peanut butter providers, that is the love we seek to share over and over again.
That beautiful ensemble of singers has emerged out of the choir and has offered itself up, and they chose that song and offered it, and then this service made itself known, and isn't the match perfect? I should not be up here at this moment. I am speaking on behalf of one of our fellow congregants, Fred Person. I'll be reading his words. His car broke down. He couldn't make it today. And I'm given the honor of speaking on his behalf. So when I speak in the first person, whether you know who Fred is or not, I invite you to know that it's not me who are saying these words. And it's really important that you do that, in part because Fred is speaking about his own experience of being unhoused. We wanted to make sure that that perspective was part of this service. And this hourglass figures, you'll hear about it in the end. Fred's words. I hope he's watching. June 1st, 2021. I moved into the John Graham shelter in Vergennes, Vermont, officially homeless. However, I didn't feel homeless. I felt home. Several months prior to June 1st, I pursued different ways of finding a home, but those avenues were not coming to fruition. The week before, I was texting with a friend, and she expressed to keep looking at the big picture, to also call the shelters in Middlebury and Vergennes. So I called the Chatter House in Middlebury, which at the time was full. And I like the town of Vergennes, so I went and I knocked on the door at the John Graham shelter. A young lady answered the door, and we sat on the porch and chatted about the possibility of space at the shelter. She felt I would make a great addition to the shelter, so she got the forms for admission. I was to call on Monday to find out if they had accepted my application. Now, to make sure I had a bed to sleep in, I called the Rutland shelter. They told me that they would have a bed for me on June 1st, just in case it didn't work out in Vergennes. The first 6 weeks, I hardly came out of my room. I was resting and crying daily with a deep sense of love and gratitude that helped my process of detoxing and letting go of my life's stories of negative and trauma memories. I started to socialize with certain guests and all the workers at the shelter who became my support group. And this opened my heart. And at the same time, I was noticing trust and confidence reappearing. Now feeling safe, I began talking about the possibility of hip replacements. This became easier and even possible, even though I was still very scared about it. The staff was open and excited with some nervousness, and even the other guests at the shelter were supportive and excited. The replacement for the right hip was scheduled for March 7th, the left hip for May 10th, 2022. My life went from feeling like it was bottoming to feeling like I was 20 years younger. Love for life was now in my heart. While journaling about the experience while I was at the shelter, early one morning a vision appeared. An hourglass, the empty side up. Then turned from empty to full sand, representing a new turning point in my life, a symbol of change while at the shelter. Fred invites us all to spend some time in shared stillness together, contemplating moments of change in our own lives. Let us do so. I'll ring the chime to bring it to a close. It's Karen again. Spiritual practices come in many forms within our Sunday service: generosity, spoken meditation, stillness, music, creating space for joy and sorrow and gratitude. In this portion of our Sunday service, each of us has a chance to enter into those communal practices to whichever one we are drawn to. And that is your invitation now. As a justice-seeking spiritual community, our generosity practice includes making sure that we share half of each Sunday's plate. Offerings this month will be shared with AALV, once known as the Association for Africans Living in Vermont, which helps new Americans from all parts of the world gain independence in their new Vermont communities. With support from multicultural, multilingual staff, clients are able to more smoothly transition into living and working our neighbors. When the music plays, as you are so moved, you can move forward silently to mark a joy, a sorrow, or a gratitude in your life by moving a stone from either side of the two bowls there. It will represent this fleeting moment that we share together each week. If in coming forward you have a gift to add, there are baskets at the top of each of the aisles. So I invite you to come forward now and take part in our stone ritual. Before we dedicate your generosity, this prayer I share with you. There were no joys or sorrows or gratitude shared through our various ways, so I thought I might share this prayer. May the spirit of prayer, of reflection, of meditation surround this holy house and all creatures of this earth. May we welcome sweetness when it comes. Let us not long for more than what we are given. May we cultivate compassion in moments when it does not come of its own accord, and let us spend it wildly, even on those who do not deserve it. May we nurture a brightness in the midst of hard moments, hard days, hard times. Let us know it deep in our hearts and then spread it with intention and wild abandon. And let us give voice to these wide sorrows, the fear and danger of those in places where war and violence run rampant: Ukraine, Gaza, Ethiopia, Sudan, Myanmar. The grief and the fear of those families in Israel whose loved ones were murdered or are being held hostage still. The struggles of people in those nations where leaders, elected or selected, follow profit or power at the expense of people and planet. The terror and mourning in Lewiston and nearby Maine communities after yet another mass shooting in this country. May those in Maine experience safety and have abundant opportunities to process and heal from the trauma. And let us not forget to give space and voice to joy and gratitude. Deep appreciation for science that brings us reliable vaccinations and treatment for acute bouts of COVID. May there be new breakthroughs for treatment for long COVID. Celebration with those who have experienced some form of accomplishment after a determined effort of their own or in relationship with others. Celebration of those who might take the socks off their feet, that others might know warmth and connection. And for people who lead us and teach us when we might not otherwise have done it ourselves. And celebration for this earth and its continuing gifts, may we be worthy of it. Let us spend a few moments in shared stillness together before we dedicate our collective generosity. Please join me in saying the words that are on the screen. With gratitude, we dedicate these gifts in the service of our mission to inspire community, seek truth, and act for justice.
Good morning. My name is Jana Porter. I moved to Vermont from Rhode Island about a year and a half ago. I knew nobody here. My kids were in Charlotte, but while my house was being built, I decided I wanted to live in Burlington. So I moved into an apartment and thought I need to connect with people. I need to get involved. I need to find a way to be useful. So I got in touch with the UU Church. And my now dear friend Sarah took me for a walk, and we sat down by the lake and we talked about the issues closest to our heart and ways to get involved to make a difference, and what the UU could provide to me personally in that area. It was a tremendous act of kindness on Sarah's part, and since then, I have run into only kindness from the relationships that I've made here, and I am incredibly grateful for that. In this day and age, I find myself struggling, as I'm sure many of you do, to make sense of these crazy, inhumane, irrational times in which we live. I struggle with who to be, with how to be, with what I have to give, if anything, with whether there's any possible way to make a difference. I'm a retired social worker, although I'm not sure that's a career anyone ever retires from, and I see some of them laughing in response to that comment. But in my training, and I'm going to date myself now, my training was really psychoanalytic. It was rooted in Freud, and Freud, as many of you know, insisted that the goal of human development was independence and autonomy. It never rang true to me, so I was very relieved when I discovered the research going on at the Stone Center at Wellesley College, a group of women who took another look at what human development is all about and maintained and explained that it was about human connection, the thirst that we all have for that. That, to me, resonated and was a huge relief and informed all the work that I did as a social worker, and also informed who I want to be as a human being and what I need as a human being. So I was very relieved by that, and it's really seen me through some difficult times. For me, what I look for to make meaning and to make sense is connection. And connection, for me, the road to that has been kindness. I've received a great deal of kindness in my life, particularly here at this place from all of you. My involvement in Sunday morning breakfast began again with my friend Sarah, who said, we have a meeting house grounds group. We meet under the picnic table under the trees. You want to come? That was the beginning. And that group really originated as the Meeting House Grounds Group. It still is, but what we were looking at was what was going on these grounds. What were these needles we were finding, and what were we to do about them? What about the people who were collecting at that picnic table, looking for solace from one another because they had nowhere else to find it? What about the tents that were going up on the grounds? People who were sleeping here because they had nowhere else to go. There are a variety of ways in which a community could respond to those kinds of issues. I was blown away, and am still blown away, by how that group of people responded. They chose to walk out and embrace that problem and find a way to be some kind of a partial solution. And that's really how the Sunday morning breakfast group was formed. It was rooted in kindness. My involvement now in Sunday morning breakfast, I come every week as close to 7 as I can. I can't say I'm always here at 7. But it begins the minute I get out of my car and I walk those stairs and I walk into the parlor, and people greet me in spite of the fact that they are incredibly busy. Somebody has already brought up the clothes cart, which is my responsibility, and so that's done. There are people making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. You've heard about that assembly line. Sometimes our guests, our neighbors at the breakfasts, come and help us. They join the peanut butter and jelly line, and we're all one. Sometimes when we get ready to push the carts outside and take them out front to the tables we've set up, sometimes our neighbors are waiting for us at the bottom of the stairs and they say, "Can I help you? Can I take the other end of that cart?" And, we're all in it together. And we get out there and there's just a sense of common purpose and a huge relief for me that I am connecting with people that are like-minded. It's very safe in that way. The world's so polarized now, I find that it's difficult when you walk into a group of people to know, you have to kind of feel your way. Where are you in understanding this crazy world we live in? But this place is safe, and that breakfast, we're all on the same page. So I'm appreciative of the experience. I'm appreciative of the relationships that I've made out there. I've gotten to know some of our neighbors personally. One woman showed up today. She comes now and then, but she's become my friend. She's an artist. She brings me a drawing like she did this morning. And she dedicated it to me and signed it, and to members of my family. And I love seeing her. I love renewing our connection. There are many like that. But the kindness out there, it's contagious. It's a crazy thing. I mean, we get out there and everybody is kind of in the same place spiritually. And I see our neighbors giving to one another. I mean, they'll come over to the clothes table and they'll pick up a sweater and they'll call across the yard, "Hey, George, don't you need something like this? Couldn't you be a little warmer if you had this? Come and try it on." They see each other and they say, "How are you? How are you doing? I haven't seen you in a while." So there's just a general sense of connection and of kindness. And they thank us. They thank us profusely. "Thank you for doing this. You guys are awesome." And we say, "You're pretty awesome too, and you're why we're here." I don't know if you have had a chance to look at this week's 7 days, but I hope if you can make time, you do read the longest article that 7 Days has ever published by Joe Sexton. It's called "The Loss of Grace." And it is the story of a child who becomes lost in a system that doesn't just let her down, but really abuses her. And she dies of a drug overdose at the age of 18. She has a story. We all have a story. Sometimes we tell our story, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we just drop little pieces of it. But it's really important to me to remember that each one of our neighbors who comes to the breakfast, they have a story. And no matter what they're suffering from, there were circumstances that created that. There's really just a fraction of life experience that separates me from them. We have more in common than we have difference. I want to end by reading an excerpt from a poem called "Kindness" by Naomi Shihab Nye. This is the last verse. "Before you know kindness as the deepest thing inside, you must know sorrow as the other deepest thing. You must wake up with sorrow. You must speak to it till your voice catches the thread of all sorrows and you see the size of the cloth. Then it is only kindness that makes sense anymore. Only kindness that ties your shoes and sends you out into the day to gaze at bread. Only kindness that raises its head from the crowd of the world to say, 'It is you I have been looking for,' and then goes with you everywhere, like a shadow or a friend." Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who has shared today. Thank you for your words, for your wisdom. I invite you to stand with me in body or spirit. Number 11. Michael, guitar number 11. Well, that's good. Well, I'll just play it loudly. Think of your fellow friend, lend them a helping hand, put a little love in your heart. You see it's getting late, oh please don't hesitate, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see. Another day goes by and still the children cry. Put a little love in your heart. If you want the world to know we won't let hatred grow, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see. Take a good look around, and if you're looking down, put a little love in your heart. I hope when you decide kindness will be your guide, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see. Put a little love in your heart. 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 Take a good look around, and if you're looking down, put a little love in your heart. I hope when you decide your kindness will be your guide, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Sing it out now. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. One more time. Put a little love in your heart. Thank you. Please be seated.
Please join me in our chalice extinguishing. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with the world until we are together again.
Today's benediction is a quote from the late Dorothy Day, founder of the Catholic Workers Union. Each week, the Sunday morning breakfast team recites the following words as part of the process of preparing our offerings for our neighbors. And she begins People say, "What is the sense of our small effort?" They cannot see that we must lay one brick at a time, take one step at a time. Pebble cast into a pond creates ripples in all directions. Each one of our thoughts, words, and deeds is like that. No one has the right to sit and feel helpless. There is too much work to do.
Should be 10 and 12. You can play a game, you can act out the part, but you know it wasn't written for you. Tell me, how can you stand there with your broken heart, afraid of playing the fool? One thing can lead to another. It doesn't take any sacrifice. Oh, old friends and new ones, siblings and cousins. If it feels nice, don't think twice. Just shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna work out fine if you only will. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna work much better if you only will. You can run, but you cannot hide. This is widely known. And what you plan to do with your foolish pride when you're all by yourself alone? Once you tell somebody the way that you feel, you can feel it beginning to ease. I think it's true what they say about that squeaky wheel. Always getting the grease. Better to shower the people you love with love. Sing with me. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna work out fine if you only will. What I'd like to do to you is shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be much better if you only will. Carry that with you and go in peace. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Sing that again. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Keep singing that. They say in every life, they say some rain must fall, just like the pouring rain. Make it rain. Make it rain. Love, love, love is sunshine, yeah. Make it rain.